times or more to welcome our audiences here since 1997. And so tonight is different because tonight I come on the stage not to say hello, but to say goodbye. And it's been, well, to say it this way, I was looking through some writing today from a man who I admire very much, who was a writer for the Chicago Tribune, and he did theater reviews for the Chicago Tribune for many, many years. His name is Richard Christensen, and he still writes, and he does books on Chicago theater and the theater scene, but as a critic, I was lucky enough once to run into him down at the old Candlelight Theater here on the South Side, and just asked him, because I had read his work for so long, and I said, critics interest me. What is it about approaching the criticism of the arts? What's different about you? What do you think that role is all about? And I remember to the day that he said, my role is to support the theater in any way I can. Not everything is perfect, but every piece of theater, every piece of music is worth seeing and commenting on for the performing arts. And I took that to this day, apparently, and remembered it, and today looked up just an article or a piece that was in the Chicago Magazine when he retired, and out of many, many, many thoughts, what I could tell and what I want to share with you tonight about what he did and hopefully what I did here over the past 15 years. And this quotes him when he says, I enjoyed and loved my work. And I did. And so did he, and I just enjoyed the fact that I could bring and work with our boards and our administrations at Governor State University to do so much for the Chicago Southland communities. I got to tell you that before I had the job here in 1997, it was an interesting trek. It was an interesting journey. In fact, the first time I came, I got lost because I hadn't been down this way, and I was riding down 294 and looking for the exits, and somewhere around Munster, I got figured out that I had gone too far. And here I was, late for my first meeting with the board, first interview, first meeting to just, talk about why I would be such a wonderful addition to this. And, I wasn't that late, but it was nice of them to forgive me. I remember all the performances you talked about. I'm kind of glad nobody mentioned Thriller that was here on October 1st. Maybe we should have thought about it a little harder. I should have thought about it a little harder. It's amongst hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of performances that have been performed here. And amongst them, as I saw the slides passing by, was a very tough year for all of us was 2001, especially September, when is typically the opening of a theater season is in the fall months of any given year. In September of 2001, after the 11th, very shortly after the 11th, was scheduled to be our opening night. And our opening night artist was Mark Russell, who you well may know as a very well-known, not as active anymore as he used to be, but well-known comedian and songwriter. Had his own show in Buffalo that he put on NPR every week for many, many years. And he was scheduled to be here that September of 2011. And I had worked with Mark Russell many times before, so I actually called him and I said, what do you think we should do? And he simply said, don't worry about this. And the night came, and Mark got here, and several days, maybe a week after September 11, 2001, Mark Russell was able to lift the spirits of this audience, not by being critical of our country, but by praising our country and making everybody in the audience feel as if they were part of something special. And that, amongst many, is some of the things that I remember of the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. But as Jean mentioned, nothing is compared to the children. I did spend many years in the public schools and working with students, and there was still, as Dr. Maynard mentioned, seeing those buses line up out there on a cold October or November morning, or sometimes even in the middle of the winter. I think it was last year when we had to cancel Harriet Tubman because of the February snowstorm and reschedule it a week later. But we have done 42 performances of Harriet Tubman, over the years here at Governor's State, and it will be back again this year in February for 2 more. And I promise you there will be 2,500 more children who come to see Mary and Putnam that will be encouraged, inspired, and made to feel something about their lives that is special and their history that is special, that will carry them to the theater again, that will help them be better citizens, that will make them the children that we need them to be for tomorrow. And I hope that number of 35,000 grows, over the years. We worried 2 years ago with funding being cut and bus money becoming more expensive, but we had valuable supporters like Terry Medhurst who have provided for us funding for that program, and our board and our fearless leader on the board, Gene Bernstein, who has made us see, and Kathleen Brennan, who has worked with me for all these years to put those programs together. And more children. What is the line from Into the Woods? Children will listen, and our children will listen. And I'm glad that they have come. I'm glad that I've been here. And I guess, not maybe as an old actor, but as a guy who's been around the theater for a long time, there is a line from The Fantastics that stays with me. It was one of the shows I particularly loved in my life, from an old actor who comes out of a trunk